So you wanted to learn more about Thomas Edison.
The man behind the light bulb.
Right. The light bulb, but also so much more. We've got a lot to cover today.
We do. We've got books, articles, even a whole YouTube series dedicated to him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Most people know him for the light bulb,
Right.
but there's a whole world of inventions and innovations
Absolutely.
that he was responsible for. And I think a good place to start is with his early life.
Yeah, I think so too. He was born in 1847,
Okay.
youngest of 7 children,
Wow.
and traditional schooling.
Mm-hmm.
Not really his thing.
No, from what I read, he was a little bit of a handful, right?
Oh, yeah. Some sources even say his teacher called him addled,
Addled, huh?
which, you can imagine what that must have felt like. But thankfully, his mother, Nancy, saw something different.
Yeah, she was a former teacher herself, right?
Exactly. She recognized his unique way of learning and decided to homeschool him.
I mean, talk about a turning point. Imagine
Yeah.
if his potential had been dismissed that early.
Right? It makes you think about all the other kids out there who might be labeled or misunderstood, but have so much to offer.
Huge missed opportunities. So Nancy homeschooled him. What did that look like? Was it all textbooks and lectures?
Not at all. She really fostered his curiosity, gave him science books, encouraged him to experiment. They turned their home into a schoolhouse, basically.
I love that.
Yeah,
So hands-on learning, kind of like a mad scientist's workshop in the house?
pretty much. There's a story about him getting a chemistry set
Oh, I bet that went well.
and setting up a lab in the basement.
Uh-oh.
Almost caught fire, apparently.
A basement fire. That's pretty classic, right? Kid, chemistry set, basement. But it speaks to that innate drive to explore, to figure things out.
Absolutely. And his mother defended his need to experiment. She knew that sometimes a little chaos can lead to incredible discoveries.
And it sounds like she was right. What were some of the other things young Thomas was tinkering with back then?
Oh, all sorts of things. I read that he built a static electricity generator, sparks flying everywhere.
Wow.
Tried to build a miniature steam engine after his dad explained how they worked.
So he was basically born an inventor.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
But it was his time as a telegraph operator that really launched his career.
Oh, right. The telegraph. That was the cutting edge of communication back then, wasn't it?
It was. And at the young age of 15, he got a job as a telegraph operator.
How did that even happen?
Well, there's this incredible story about him saving a young boy from being hit by a train.
Oh, wow.
And the boy's father, who was the station master, was so grateful that he offered Edison the job as a reward.
Talk about fate. But it wasn't just a job, was it? It seems like the perfect training ground for a mind like his.
Absolutely. He was exposed to the latest technology, complex communication systems, and he was constantly learning, absorbing everything around him.
So he was basically immersed in innovation day in and day out.
Exactly. He learned to think quickly, solve problems on the spot, and constantly look for ways to improve things.
And did he start improving things right away?
Oh, absolutely. He invented an automatic repeater, for example.
What did that do?
It helped improve long-distance transmission.
Okay.
And there's another story about him fixing a downed telegraph system during a thunderstorm,
Wow.
showcasing his skills under pressure. But his big breakthrough as a telegraph operator,
This is where it gets interesting, right? The light bulb.
not quite yet,
Uh-huh.
but you're close. His first patent wasn't for the light bulb.
Oh, really? What was it for then?
It was for an improved stock ticker machine.
A stock ticker. Okay, so not as glamorous as a light bulb, but still pretty important, I imagine.
Incredibly important. Stock tickers were used to transmit stock prices. And Edison, with his experience as a telegraph operator, saw how slow and inaccurate they were.
So he saw a problem and invented a solution. That seems to be a recurring theme with him.
Absolutely. His improved stock ticker synchronized multiple machines with a central transmitter. It was a huge leap forward in speed and accuracy.
And did this invention bring him any recognition or financial success?
Oh, it did. He sold the rights to his stock ticker for $40,000.
$40,000. Back then, that must have been.
A fortune.
Yeah.
And it gave him the financial freedom to pursue his true passion.
Inventing.
Exactly. He used that money to establish his famous Menlo Park Laboratory in 1876.
The invention factory. The place where so many groundbreaking ideas came to life.
It wasn't just a lab. It was a carefully designed ecosystem for innovation. He handpicked a team of experts from all sorts of fields, fostering collaboration and a shared passion for pushing boundaries.
A dream team of innovators. It makes you wonder if that collaborative environment was key to his success.
I think it definitely played a huge role. But before we delve into his later inventions, let's talk about the one that truly made him a household name.
The light bulb. Finally.
The light bulb. Imagine a world lit only by gas lamps and candles. Dim, flickering light, constant fire hazards. Edison saw a need for something better, safer, brighter, and more affordable.
A classic Edison move, identifying a problem and setting out to solve it.
But the light bulb wasn't an easy invention.
Yeah, we all know about the thousands of failed attempts.
The search for the perfect filament material was a monumental challenge. At Menlo Park, they meticulously documented every experiment, learning from each failure.
And they tested all sorts of things, right?
Everything. Platinum, tungsten, even materials you wouldn't expect, like cotton and bamboo.
Bamboo? For a light bulb filament? That seems so random.
It might seem strange, but they were looking for a material that could withstand intense heat without burning out too quickly. It had to be durable, but also able to glow brightly.
So it was a combination of scientific knowledge, experimentation, and maybe a little bit of luck.
Definitely a bit of serendipity involved. And in 1879, after countless experiments, they had their breakthrough, a carbonized bamboo filament.
The eureka moment.
The moment that changed the world.
It must have been incredible to be there at Menlo Park when that first long-lasting bulb lit up.
It marked the beginning of a new era. But inventing the bulb was just the beginning.
Right. He wasn't just content with creating a single invention. He wanted to change how we live.
Exactly. He had a much bigger vision in mind, one that would illuminate not just a bulb, but the world.
Okay, so now we've got the light bulb, this game-changing invention. But how do you actually go from, a glowing filament in a lab to lighting up entire cities?
Well, Edison's vision was much bigger than just the light bulb itself. He realized that to truly revolutionize how we live, he needed a way to deliver electricity to everyone.
Yeah, he wasn't just thinking about, a single invention.
Right.
He was thinking about an entire system.
Exactly. He wanted to create an electrical grid, power plants, wires, everything needed to make electricity accessible to the masses.
And he chose New York City as the place to really put this vision to the test. Why New York?
Well, at the time, New York was already a bustling metropolis, heavily reliant on gas lighting.
Yeah.
So it was a huge challenge, but also a huge opportunity.
Right. If he could light up New York, he could light up the world.
Exactly. But the challenges were immense. I mean, think about it. Generating enough electricity to power an entire city,
Yeah.
that required massive steam-powered dynamos.
Wow.
And then you had to figure out how to transmit that power safely
Right.
through a network of underground wires.
Yeah, all while making sure it's safe and reliable for everyone to use.
Exactly. He even had to invent new devices, like fuses and meters, to control and measure electricity usage. It was a monumental task.
It sounds like a logistical nightmare, honestly. But on September 4th, 1882, it happened. He flipped the switch at the Pearl Street station.
His first commercial power plant.
I can only imagine what that moment must have been like. Parts of New York City illuminated with electric light for the very first time.
It was a pivotal moment in history. Edison's system proved that electricity could be generated and distributed on a large scale, paving the way for the electrified world we know today.
So we've got light, we've got power, but Edison didn't stop there, right?
Not even close.
There's so much more to his story. What should we talk about next?
Well, how about something that revolutionized the way we experience sound?
Oh, you mean the phonograph?
Yep.
The talking machine.
Exactly. And the story behind its invention is really quite fascinating.
Yeah, I read that he was actually working on a machine to record telegraph messages. And that's when he had this sort of aha moment, like, what if I could capture sound itself?
It's amazing how these seemingly unrelated things can spark such groundbreaking ideas.
Right. But how did he actually go from that idea to a working phonograph?
Well, his early prototypes were surprisingly simple. He used a thin sheet of tinfoil wrapped around a metal cylinder.
Oh, wow. I've seen pictures of that. It looks so fragile.
It is, and he would speak into a diaphragm, which vibrated a needle. And that needle would etch those vibrations onto the tinfoil.
So those little grooves on the tinfoil were actually recordings of sound waves.
Yeah, and when he reversed the process, the needle would travel along those grooves, and the diaphragm would recreate the sound.
That's incredible. I mean, it's such a simple concept, but so revolutionary for the time.
Absolutely. And of course, you have to ask, What was the first thing he recorded?
Oh, I definitely want to know.
Legend has it that the first words ever recorded on a phonograph were, "Mary had a little lamb."
A nursery rhyme. That's kind of adorable.
Yeah, a simple rhyme, but a giant leap forward for technology.
And just like with the light bulb, he didn't stop with just a basic prototype. He continued to improve the phonograph.
Oh, absolutely. He was always tinkering, always striving for better sound quality. He switched from tinfoil to wax cylinders, which were more durable.
And that really paved the way for the mass production and distribution of recorded sound.
Exactly. And just like that, he opened up a whole new world of possibilities.
Hmm.
Music, spoken word, history and chance, it could all be preserved and shared in a way that was never before possible.
It's hard to overstate the impact of the phonograph.
Hmm.
I mean, it changed how we listen to music, how we learn, how we tell stories.
Absolutely. It was truly a transformative technology.
But wait, there's still more, right? I mean, we haven't even talked about his work with moving pictures.
Oh, you're right. We haven't. And that's a whole other chapter in Edison's incredible story.
Yeah, this is the part I'm really excited to dive into.
Well, get ready because we're about to enter the world of moving pictures, the birth of cinema, and Edison's role in making it all happen.
So we're talking late 1800s now. Moving pictures are this, like, mind-blowing concept. But the technology, it's still pretty basic, right?
Yeah, you've got things like the zoetrope, basically a spinning cylinder with a series of images that creates the illusion of motion.
Right, like those little animation toys. But Edison, he's got to take it to the next level, right?
Well, Edison wasn't satisfied with just illusions. He wanted to capture real-life action, preserve those fleeting moments in time, a way to bring the world to life on a screen.
So he sets his sights on creating an actual motion picture camera.
Oh.
But where do you even begin with something like that?
It was a massive undertaking. It required expertise in mechanics, optics, chemistry. Edison, being Edison, assembled a talented team to tackle the challenge. William Kennedy Hilliam, Laurie Dixon was a key player, a brilliant engineer who really helped bring the project to life.
It sounds like a real dream team. What were some of the biggest hurdles they faced?
Well, one of the toughest challenges was finding the right material to capture those images. It had to be flexible, durable, and sensitive to light.
Okay.
They ended up using celluloid film coated with a light-sensitive emulsion.
Ah, celluloid. The stuff of early cinema, I can almost smell it.
It's pretty iconic, right?
But capturing the images was only half the battle, right? They
Yeah.
needed a way to actually view them.
Exactly. That's where the kinetoscope comes in. Picture a cabinet, like a big wooden box, with a P-hole at the top.
Okay.
You look at the people, and inside you see a short moving picture, just a few seconds long. It's a very personal viewing experience, one person at a time, just marveling at this brand new technology.
It's so cool to imagine those early kinetoscope parlors with all the machines whirring and people lining up to get a glimpse of moving pictures. It must have felt like magic.
You really must have. And in 1894, Edison opened the first kinetoscope parlor in New York City. People flocked to see these short films.
So that was kind of the first movie theater experience?
In a way, yes.
That
It was the
sounds-
very beginning of what would become a global entertainment industry.
From a peephole to the silver screen, it's amazing. But knowing Edison, he didn't stop there, did he? He saw the limitations of this one person at a time viewing experience, right?
Of course. He had a much grander vision. He wanted to project those moving pictures onto a larger screen so that everyone could experience them together, a shared experience.
So how did he make that leap from the kinetoscope to projected film?
Well, rather than developing his own projection system from scratch, he acquired the rights to the Vitascope.
The Vitascope?
Yeah, it was a projector invented by Thomas Edison. Edison, always the astute businessman, recognized its potential and adapted it to work with his film format.
Smart move. So the Vitascope became the key to bringing his films to a wider audience.
Exactly. And in 1896, he held the first public demonstration of the Vitascope, projecting moving pictures onto a big screen for a large audience. People were mesmerized. It was a huge success.
Another game changer. The era of movie theaters had begun. It's incredible to think that we can trace so much of modern cinema back to Edison's early experiments. But he didn't just revolutionize light and sound and moving pictures, did he?
Oh, there's so much more. His work spans such a wide range of fields. But there's one discovery in particular that I think is worth highlighting. It's often overshadowed by his more famous inventions, but it had a profound impact on the development of electronics.
Okay, now you've got me intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, it all started with a light bulb. Edison noticed that an electric current could flow between the heated filament and a metal plate inside the bulb, even though they weren't physically connected.
Wait a minute, how is that even possible?
At the time, Edison didn't fully understand the scientific explanation. He called it the Edison effect, and even patented it, but his focus was elsewhere. It wasn't until later that scientists figured out what was really happening. The heated filament was emitting electrons, these tiny particles that could travel through the vacuum inside the bulb, creating an electric current.
So this accidental discovery led to the understanding of electrons and how they behave.
Precisely. And that understanding was crucial for the development of all sorts of electronic devices.
Like, for example?
Well, a British scientist named John Ambrose Fleming was fascinated by the Edison effect. He conducted further research and eventually invented the vacuum tube.
Ah, the vacuum tube. I remember learning about those in school. Weren't they essential for early radios and computers?
Absolutely. The vacuum tube could amplify weak electrical signals, making it possible to receive radio transmissions from far away. It also served as a switch and an amplifier in early computers. It was revolutionary.
It's amazing to think that something as seemingly simple as observing a strange phenomenon in a light bulb could have such a huge impact on technology.
It really highlights the importance of curiosity and observation, doesn't it?
Totally. And Edison, throughout his life, never lost that childlike curiosity.
Right. He continued experimenting and inventing, even in his later years.
What else was he working on?
Well, he spent a lot of time trying to improve storage batteries, a technology that's become even more important today with the rise of electric vehicles.
Yeah, it's like he was ahead of his time in so many ways.
He really was a visionary, always looking for ways to make things better, more efficient, more accessible. His impact on the world is undeniable.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but it feels like we've only just scratched the surface of Edison's incredible life and work.
It's true. There's always more to learn. But I think we've seen how his inventions shaped the world we live in today.
From the light bulb to the phonograph to motion pictures, his legacy is all around us. And I think what's really inspiring is not just what he achieved, but how he achieved it. Through sheer determination, hard work, and a willingness to embrace failure as part of the process.
Absolutely. His story is a testament to the power of human ingenuity and perseverance.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Thomas Edison. What a journey.
It has been.
I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe, just maybe, you're leaving with a little spark of inspiration to go out and create something amazing yourself. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the next Edison. Thanks for listening.